I'm hearing different ideas from different places, so it would certainly be helpful in terms of going back. Now also, I brought 3 new persons to help the process, and they're at Holy Cross, Carter Hall today. And I've also been giving out booklets that I received here to strategic persons in the parish who I'm inviting to the facilitators in terms of helping the process. So thank you very much for some of the ideas that I've heard. Printing of the prayer card, the banners, the groups and so on, very helpful. And our church comes in meeting soon to deliberate on that process.
Brother Ryan, I beg your pardon. Summer.
Thanks, sister, just mentioning too that because we have the projector with the hymns and liturgy for the mass, then we also display synodality over there.
Wonderful. So you see, everybody has started something, all right? In our discussion, when the team was having its meeting, one of the meetings, the question was asked by Father Kingsley, what about the religious orders? Where do they fit in? And Deacon Peter responded by saying that the religious orders, theologically, we don't fit in anywhere, but if you follow the what do I call that now? If you follow the discussion, the dialogue, nowhere are religious orders mentioned. You hear of the bishop, the priest, the deacons, and the laity, and children, but religious are not specified anywhere. Notwithstanding that, I want to, since I'm a religious, I want to speak on behalf of my community what's happening. Most of my sisters are elderly, so they can't come out to workshop. So what I have been able to do for us is that we have attended all of those 12 classes that have taken place online. 6 weeks of Bishop Clyde Harvey on synodality, and another 6 weeks with Father Donald Chambers. Those sessions were very engaging and enlightening. We kept learning. We heard what's happening in some of the other islands as people shared. So what I have done with my community now, we meet, the council we meet in our houses, we meet every first Sunday for an hour of recollection. And what I have been doing, we have been using the process, the same process that you were trained in, facilitating and sharing and listening. We have used that in our first Sunday recollection. The Leadership Council meets every second Saturday. We use the same process. And when the community meets, the entire community meets on the last Saturday of every month, we use the same process for our prayer and if we have any decision to make. Alright? So I feel good that my community is involved even though we're not out in the parishes. The elderly sisters are able to do that. Alright? Brother Burns. Want to come here?
And as another religious, to give another perspective, we decided not to do something separate, but to work within our individual churches. This is what our sisters and our priests and brothers have decided.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brother Burns. All right. Yes, Father Roger.
That last session that we had, we asked the question about priests being present at the the various sessions and how that is a deterrent for people fully sharing what they want to say. It would seem like the priests are the ones that are going to be let go of the process to facilitate. So, in terms of an approach, do we have to put the priests in a grouping to actually have some kind of a separate process? I'm just asking.
Father Colin, I am happy that, and I'm going to ask Brother Bernie to respond as well, if you will. I'm very happy that you raised the matter. What did I say? It's true. All right. Yes, Father Roger, thank you for raising the issue, because it is also a concern of the team, and I'll tell you why. Two presentations were made at clergy and pastoral conference. I wasn't present at the first one, I was present at the second one. And I noticed clergy were there, some were not, and those who were present after the presentation, and then when we were to get into the group discussion and to practice the whole process, most of them disappeared. They left. The notices have been sent out to the parishes, and based on what we hear from Father Kingsley, the feedback has been poor. Some parishes have not responded at all. I was in discussion with one parishioner from Stella Maris Church earlier this week, and she said to me, "So what's happening with synodality? They're not hearing anything. What's happening?"
Well, at least you hear the word.
All right. Okay. Yeah, what's happening? I'm not hearing anything. All right. I went to one church community on two occasions some weeks ago, and printed in the bulletin. This is Aquinas. No, it was not. I went to Christ the King. Printed in the bulletin was something about synodality. The print was so fine, so fine. All right, and that was it. It was not announced in the bulletin, when the announcements were given. Nothing was referred to it. There was just this little thing in the bulletin, and the print was so fine, I had to squint to read it.
Sister, there's some PR we started now.
All right.
For this week and following.
Okay.
That it be raised to another level.
Brother Bernie, you're recording? Right.
Coming from the archdiocese.
Yes. So what I want to say in response to that now is, I heard the parishes that are actively moving. Their priests are behind them. The priest is the one who needs to. Yes, heard what she said. Her priest is saying he will appoint, but he kind of late. You know, he's behind. But let's pray that things will get going after those persons. You know? The hands are coming up. All right. Okay.
All right, for sake of favor, our assumption was that the priests would have their own meeting. And so what we have decided is to have Father Benjamin and Deacon Rome be while we are having our discussion, they will be the observers.
Okay.
To ensure that we are doing the thing correctly. So if the Archbishop contacts them and says, yes, this report is valid. All right, so that's our thought.
Okay, right. Wonderful. Yes, let's go.
I have been sitting and listening to those who are out of the starting blocks, and for those of us who are not out of the starting blocks, my thing is, how can we fix it so we can get going?
Okay.
So my first thing is, for those of us who don't have the necessary tools like the questions, how do we ascertain those and additional booklets to train other persons?
All right. Let Brother Bernie know what it is you don't have, so we can get it to you. What's your parish again, please?
Good Shepherd.
Good Shepherd. That's over greater.
Yes.
That's Father Bernard.
He's the decision.
Well, good, he's there today. Okay, wonderful. Well, he's here today. He will get it. He's going to get what you got first time.
Okay. I didn't get the question the first time.
How come?
I am still.
All right, okay. Well, Brother Bernie will make a note of that. Wonderful. And who was the next hand? Father Ross.
Now, based on what was the two responses on the feedback that we got from St. Peter Claver from Marie when she shared about a timetable. But that's the timetable they created. Yeah, but you created that. Now, you have a timetable in terms of the team for the process for the country. That would be really nice. And helpful in terms of well, those are dates, but in terms of not all of the more important things. No, that timetable they created. But there's a reference to a timetable in the booklet. No, they created this for their specific.
They created it from this?
No.
From the booklet?
Yes, we don't have dates for here.
You don't have this?
We have this, but we don't have dates here. And we don't have, like for February, when it's started, we don't have.
I don't mean like the 16th or 17th.
And also, we're right here, so this is not the timetable that we did for the parish itself.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking about from right here, because that timetable, it just gives us months.
Okay.
And the questions, because the questions that, was said that we should have started in terms of engagement, those are not real questions. So those are things that would be helpful in terms of the engagement and preparation, because we got the impression that we've been given it incrementally at the last meeting. Yeah, because at the same time you want to be. At the same time, you want to have everything in place so that the team can plan more wholesomely for the activity than, because one of the problems is that the pandemic is affecting a lot of the plans that we're putting in place. With the numbers going up, we have to anticipate that less people will be coming physically to church. And there were requests for this meeting to be virtual. And you may have seen a reduction in numbers because of some of those concerns too as well. So, not having some of those things, we're not going to be able to navigate the struggles of the pandemic, plus properly preparing the teams and the congregation for what lies ahead. Because at the moment we're at a sensitization stage, but in terms of the in-depth planning, because people are not going to want to gather 3-4 times to be discussing the matters. They want the real McCoy in terms of what needs to be sent and be done, so that we can do it in a concise way and a way that limits some of the challenges that we're facing.
So let me hear again. What exactly are you asking for? Say that again.
The actual questions that the diocese, that the apostolic see wants us to discuss.
Those are common. Yes.
There are no more questions coming.
So are we saying that there are no more questions
No more
then?
questions coming, sister.
That's it? If that's it,
Sorry.
we'd be good.
Any questions on phone and putting that hand up when you were here last?
Yeah, no, but is that the only questions that will be asked?
From my, yeah, that's all the questions you're discussing.
Well, that's what I'm asking about. Because,
Wait, let him finish.
because when we say there are lots of questions, because the more gatherings that we have to do is the more reluctant people are going to want to. So what you will find is that people may be enthusiastic about coming out to the first session, and then we discuss whose voice is not being heard. And then the questions that the Apostolic See wants to hear, that the diocese and the Angeles Episcopal Conference, you'll find that people are not responding to that because later on they say, oh, I've come to one session already, I'm good. So you want the essential questions, in terms of the engagement, because we have to look at that as well. We're not functioning this synod in a normal circumstance. It's within a pandemic, and particularly with the numbers going up, we don't even know how much engagement we will have as church communities if the Prime Minister should say that we have to lessen gathering, not limits again. Because right now we're at 100, and that could get far less. So,
All right, just to add, you can always meet virtually, even now. It doesn't have to be face to face, even now.
yes.
Brother Bernie.
A couple of things when you said about the priest. Now, I have a retired, my brother is a priest, he's retired, they're called senior priests in the Lansing Diocese, but all of the priests are making their own journey with this and coming up with their own reports. So I think it's fine. In fact, I would encourage it. I think it would be good. I think this is why we have today. So that those weeks in January and February, each church can plan appropriately, using what Father Collins said, learning some new ideas, getting ideas. That's what we're all about. And I can't stress how important it is to listen. And are we going to get a perfect score in this? No. But we are going to gather the wisdom. And that's going to take a lot of shape. I can go back to my own experience at Holy Rosary. Part of the church is people who don't come in. Now, I'm going to go by myself in Bower Bank where I've been working and hear what they got to say. I don't know what it's going to be like. It's just that the facilitator doesn't feel comfortable going, and all right, I'll go by myself. But I think we want to gather the wisdom from as many people as possible and try to learn from each other. And hopefully, after today, when you go back to your church, you can flesh out January and February, those times when you will be as a community.
Thank you, Brother Bernie. Yes, ma'am. Did I get your name?
Marie. Yeah. I looked at the back of the handbook we got the last time, and I saw those dates. And I said, okay, if we need to have the report ready for March, that means we have to have our small group meetings between January and February. And so that's how we came up with this. However, my problem is with 2 days. In the handbook, it says representatives are to come back for a meeting today. During the week, I was told that this meeting will also include the new ones. Now, during this week, I couldn't tell the other aides that they have selected to come to me because they would have already had their plans for today. So it was Janice and myself who are here, because our understanding was that we, the oldsters, should come back today and not the newbies, who would have been over the hall, over part of the hall. So there again, what is representative? Send your representatives to.
All right. Let me tell you how that came about. Yes, originally it was planned that we would have these 2 days of workshop, last month and now. When we had the first one, after we had the first one, we realized that there were persons who should have been there who were not there for whatever reason. No judgment. So in announcing the second meeting, we say, you know what? based on the responses that we were getting, persons are going to come who didn't come at all. So we have to make preparation for them.